Good evening and welcome to the Oaklander. I'm your host, Al DiGiacomo. To start the show, I'd like to thank everyone who contacted us about Emmett Finley. Incidentally, we will have another chance to hear Emmett perform later in the show. So we planted a seed almost a year ago, and it is now a tree showing signs of bearing fruit. More and more talented people have become aware of our forum and are preparing to showcase them on the Oaklander. In the words of our director, Greg Schuss, only you can prevent bad access television. In the past, Oakland resident Laurie Shortman has been involved with food drives with the Center for Food Action. On Sunday, October 15th, I spoke with Diane Lucas about their projects with Helping Others.
Hi, I'm a volunteer, but I'm the volunteer director here at the MAWA Center for the Center for Food Action. Today is the record newspaper food drive. All these bags that you see around us are bags of food that people have donated starting at about 11 o'clock this morning. We have a group of people who are sorting this food and putting it away. This food will get us through the winter. Folks have been very generous today. We have a great outpouring of groceries today for our families.
How many people are involved in this activity today?
We as far as volunteers go, we probably have about 25 people today. And we have kids from Bergen Catholic. We have a group of adults from a place called Volunteer Ventures, which is part of the Volunteer Center in Hackensack. We have some friends. We have some regular volunteers. We have some staff people here today. So there's all kinds of folks here helping us out today.
How did the Fresh Food for Summer Drive turn out?
Well, a good friend of ours and volunteer, Laurie Shortman, coordinated an activity for the summer. Folks with gardens brought us fresh produce from their gardens.
Right.
Our families very rarely get fresh produce. They don't have the kind of property where they can have a garden in many cases. So fresh produce is very hard to come by at a food pantry. So we're thrilled when we have fresh tomatoes, zucchini. Everybody has zucchini they can't get rid of. We're the place to take your zucchini, right?
As Laurie says, they had zucchini coming out of their ears.
Exactly. So we're happy for apples in the fall and citrus, oranges any time of the year. But the home gardeners really came through for us and brought us a lot of wonderful produce.
How about the Adopt a Family program?
Okay.
Could you tell us a little bit about this?
For Thanksgiving, our center here in MAWA has a program called Adopt a Family. And what that is that an individual, a church group, an organization, a school group, a classroom at a school can get together and they can decide to adopt a family for Thanksgiving. And we will tell you a specific family that you're feeding. We won't tell you their name, but we'll tell you perhaps that there are 3 adults and there are 4 children, and we'll tell you the ages of the children so that you can pack the groceries in an appropriate way. What we will ask you to give is everything from soup to nuts for Thanksgiving dinner.
On October 6th, the 100-year-old steel bridge on Camp Glen Gray Road over the Ramapo River collapsed due to trucks owned by Passaic Crushed Stone. The trucks were overloaded with gravel en route to MAWA. We now go to Peter Coletta at the scene on the Oakland-MAWA border. Are you there, Peter?
This is Pete Coletta at the Glen Gray Bridge collapse. The accident occurred on Friday about 2:30 in the afternoon, when a truck driven by the Passaic Crushed Stone organization drove over this bridge, and as you can well see, she let go. The truck fell over on its side, dropping, you'll be able to see on the other side here, if Al can get a shot of that, all the gravel that was loaded into this truck fell out and fell into the Passaic River. I beg your pardon, into the Ramapo River itself. No injuries fortunately did occur, thank God. Nobody was hurt, but the bridges are completely destroyed. It's become a great tourist attraction right now. We have a great deal of people roaming around here looking at what has occurred here. We only have sketchy information as to what actually did occur. If the truck was overloaded, there had been a series of trucks driving over this bridge, hauling gravel into what I understand is the construction of a new bridge over on the other side of about a half a mile down the road here. Goodbye for now. We'll see you again with some updates.
The estimated cost of the bridge repair is between $300,000 and $500,000. The owners have been fined $4,000. The Oakland Education Foundation is actively seeking new members. Anyone interested are urged to call 337-3111. The foundation has the ability to provide improvements for our children's benefit without state-mandated regulations. The foundation is also responsible for the seed money to start the evening school this year, and I am told that this successful pilot project is sold out. On the lighter side, artist and puppeteer Ruth Miller loves to work with children. On October 8th, she hosted a puppet show for the neighborhood children. Here's a glimpse of that production.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming. This year it's our second annual puppet show featuring Jungle Land in Oakland. My name is Birdie. Hope you have a real good time.
When the sun shines, Mr. Golden Sun, hiding behind the trees. These little children are asking you to please come out so we can play with you.
Watch for the announcement on the TCI Channel 20 bulletin board for date and time for Jungle Land in Oakland by Ruth Miller. Our guest tonight is Donald Burns, President of the Oakland Council. He is presently the liaison to the police department, and in his 6 years on the council has also served as the liaison to the Recreation Committee. A resident for 17 years, he is a man with vision as well as conviction. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Councilman Donald Burns. Thanks for being our guest on the Oaklander tonight, Don.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Don, what shaped your opinions on politics and government, and how did they fit into your work on the Oakland Council?
Well, actually, I was never really interested in politics, but I guess it would go back to when I was in college and I took an ethics course, and it really had an impact on me. Ever since then, I've been really a firm believer in individual responsibility and also service to others. And they may seem contradictory in certain ways, but they're really not. I think we all have to take responsibility for our actions, but at the same time, we are members of not only our local family, but our worldwide family. And I think that we have responsibilities to that also. And government, I think, is one of the primary ways of serving other people. And I just am I believe, a service-oriented person.
Is that pervasive in the political arena these days? Because that really is a refreshing viewpoint on local politics. I wish it was that way in national politics.
Well, unfortunately, I can't really speak for anybody else. There are many times that I'm just as disheartened by our political leaders as anybody else is, and whether that's local or at the national level, no matter what level you go to. I believe that if everybody had that intent, that they were serving the people that they are working for, then we would have a lot less problems than we do. And I believe that there are many people involved in politics that do feel that way, but unfortunately there are, of course, those who don't.
How does this on a district or a municipal political leaders, how can they inspire more or less a new social vision? You mentioned we're all part of the human world family. It seems that we're lacking the political leadership to inspire us. Do you have any thoughts on how we could get more people to think in a beneficial manner?
Well, you know, one of the phrases that you used when you said a new social vision, I'm not necessarily one that believes in what you would call a new social vision. I believe if we went back to a lot of the old principles of social vision, where the family was intact, and where we all considered our fellow men our brothers and did more along that line, I don't think we would need a new social vision. I think we would be able to survive with the one that we've had for many, many years.
Okay, it's by moving a step backward, we may be able to take 2 steps forward, more or less. Then.
I guess that's a good way of putting it. Sure.
Okay. Okay, that's.
And you had mentioned about, how could we as local representatives or at the district level or at some higher level foster that. I think there are 2 things. People have to remember that politicians can only do so much. If the people aren't interested and concerned themselves, then the politicians don't really have a sense of direction. They should get their sense of direction from the people, and people have to play a more active role. As far as at each of those levels, I think if we understood the responsibilities that we have at each of those levels, we would be able to do the job better, because we all have a certain role. I am more directly involved with the local things that go on at the local level within Oakland. You take somebody at the district level, like one of our state senators or somebody like that, well, they have a broader picture that they have to look at, and they have to represent a lot more people and serve a lot more functions. And if they concentrate on their job and let local people concentrate on their job, I think it would make it a lot easier.
In the 40th district, do you have a more or less a constant dialogue with Assemblyman Russo, Assemblyman Felice, Senator McNamara? Do you have a dialogue on a constant basis, or is only when a problem arises?
Well, it really is more or less when a problem arises, because just like I work within the community, and it is more than enough to keep me busy. You get the people at the next level, like Senator McNamara or Assemblyman Felice or Assemblyman Russo.
Mm-hmm.
They have other responsibilities. They don't have the time to have a constant dialogue with local people. But I will say this, whenever we've had an occasion to go to these people for their support, such as with 287, and when that was being developed and some of the problems that it incorporated for the borough of Oakland, we've always been able to go to those people, Marge Rokemer, any of those people. When we've gone to them with a particular problem that we felt that they could assist with, they have always been there to help. And I believe that actually that's the way it should be. If you keep going to them for everything, number one, you're not doing your job.
Right.
The second thing is that if you keep going to them with everything, I think it's going to turn into the same type of thing as the boy that cried wolf.
Right.
You're just not going to get the support when you really need it.
Right.
So it's holding your cards and playing them when you need them.
Very good. As we enter this expanding realm of information, the information highway, as a member of the council, are they presently exploring any of the vast possibilities of, say, municipal TV to kind of bring the community a little bit closer, or to give them a better view of what's coming up, to more or less make them feel as if their opinions matter? Are they exploring any of these?
Well, it's funny that you bring it up, because I think, as hopefully many people within the community know, TCI is in the process of refranchising for the borough of Oakland. And we are in the process right now of negotiating with them for getting more availability and more access to TV facilities. Matter of fact, the Oaklander and the job that you people do is an example of the way we can communicate better with the community. However, I do have to say this. My feeling is that it really is a two-edged sword. And by that I mean, it's fine to have things that are televised, but in certain respects, it gives a different perspective on things. I myself would like to see many more people coming to the council meetings where they can observe it for firsthand rather than seeing it on TV. You get a perspective from a camera's point of view. Also, let's face it, there are many things that the mayor and council do that are very dry and not really exciting. And I just wonder how much interest people will actually get from observing proceedings like that on TV. I think it's worthwhile because there is very little participation within the borough. There aren't many people that come to the council meetings. And if there's some way we can inform the people of what is going on, and if this is one of the ways that we can do it, we'll be more than glad to do it.
Well, maybe we could put our heads together and maybe do a once a month, maybe half-hour show and give a synopsis of what's been taking place and what may be looking forward inside the future. Just an idea.
It's always worth considering.
For the edification of our viewers, Don, what is the function of the council president?
Well, I would say that the council president's functions fall into two categories. The primary function is really to take over the responsibilities and duties of the mayor when the mayor is absent. If he happens to be on a business trip or for some reason he can't be there, to assume his role and responsibility. He was, as an example, I ran one of the council meetings when the mayor was not here. Fortunately, we have a mayor that is very active in the community and is able to spend a lot of time here, and he doesn't miss many meetings. So that part of the responsibility, I have not been called upon very often to do that. The other area of responsibility is, if you want to call it, is to act as a liaison with the other council members. That job itself, again, we have people that are on the council for a number of years. People understand the process, and there is not that much activity at the present time that requires coordinating among the council members as far as something that is not done at the council meetings. Sometimes if we're trying to get an idea of how people feel on something, I might be called on by another member of the council to poll all the members to see what they feel about possibly bringing something up at the next meeting or putting something on the agenda. So those are the two primary functions that I see.
Don, we have to pause. We'll be right back after these words.
It's only a little motor oil.
What difference is one drop of paint going to make?
This much fertilizer isn't going to pollute anything.
You're looking at a sea of excuses, created drop by people like you and me. Our waters can be saved if each of us does their part. Drop by drop. If we all do a little, we can do a lot. Brought to you by the Natural Resources Defense Council, the EPA, and the Ad Councils of the U.S. and Japan.
Welcome back to the show. Let's continue our discussion with Councilman Don Burns. Don, you've shown concern over voter apathy. Has this prompted you to rethink your position on term limits, say on a local level?
Well, as a matter of fact, as I mentioned earlier, that's, I believe, one of the major problems that we have, not only at the local level, but whether it be at the county or the state or the federal level, is voter apathy. As far as term limits is concerned, I'm beginning to believe that there is a need for term limits. However, at the same time, I think if we could eliminate voter apathy, then maybe there would not be a need for term limits. Because the biggest problem is that we're supposed to represent the people. And if the people aren't there and providing their input, we can only do so much, as I said earlier. With the voter apathy that I see, people that are in office start to get a feeling, I believe, that they know everything that has to be done without any voter input. And I think that's bad, because I think we should always get input from the voter. We should know what they're thinking, where they stand, what they think of the job that we're doing. And even at the local level, that's important. And we're not getting it. So I'm beginning to believe that there is a need for term limits. And maybe, as a matter of fact, I'm currently running for re-election, and very possibly after this term, I may not seek re-election, because I think that we might need some new blood in there with some new ideas. And I think that applies to everybody that serves for a long period of time.
And you are unopposed.
I have to say, unfortunately, unopposed.
I know you had mentioned to me about that, that you were not happy that there was nothing to raise issues. And even though we live in town, there's always an issue that can be discussed.
Well, people seem to get involved when you have the situation where it's going to directly affect them. Until something starts directly affecting people, they stay out of it. They stay in the background. And again, another point about voter apathy. You look at it, and I myself was quite amazed when Christy Whitman first took office and she started talking about lowering the income tax. And when she finally came through with that promise, I was amazed at how many local politicians would start yelling and screaming that, well, if they do that, they're going to cut back on state aid.
This was my next question to you, sir. How do you feel state and federal aid is as a contributing factor in apathetic indifference?
I think it's a big factor, because I'm a firm believer in that the further away you get from something, the less control you have over it, the less knowledge that you have over it. What I started to say before was that all these local politicians were crying about, we're going to lose state aid, whether it be for education or for a municipal budget. Well, the simple question that I asked myself, and I wish that everybody would ask, is, well, where is the state getting that money? The same thing, where is the county getting that money? Where is the federal government getting that money? It's getting it from the same people. It's getting it from you, and it's getting it from me.
Right.
And when I say the further away it gets, the more difficult it is, well, I have a son at college at the present time. He can call up and say that he needs me to send some money. I can ask him what for. He'll give me a good reason, but I'm not really there to see it.
Yeah.
The same way, if the money goes to the state, you know, there's less that we see how that money is spent. At the same time, you also have the problem that if we send it to the state and then to the federal government, by the time it comes back, you're never going to get 100% of it back. Whether it's distributed to all the states or not, there's going to be a certain level of bureaucracy. So just the fact that it goes up and then back down means that you're not getting the full advantage of the money that might be available. Now, at the same time, like Christy Whitman reducing taxes, well, she can reduce the income tax, but if she doesn't do the same thing and hold the line in other places but raises taxes someplace else, that money is not really coming back into our pockets. If she cut the income tax and it came back into the local people's pocket, then there would be more of a resource for us to go out and get that same money. And actually, if we raised it and if people didn't like what we were doing, they could throw us out or get somebody else in. But the further away it gets, and matter of fact, I think a lot of times local politicians are saying that because they don't want the responsibility. They don't want to say, well, this is how I'm spending your money. It's coming from someplace else, and it's like it's not your money, but it really is.
I think the system seems to almost either be set up that way, or it seems to make the average citizen feel like they're disconnected, either from a municipal town or a city or from Trenton or from Washington. Do you think that has an effect that makes people apathetic towards politics?
Actually, I believe it's the opposite way.
Really?
Yeah, because I think the only reason that these things happen is because of people being apathetic. Maybe I'm overly simplistic, but again, the question that I asked before about that was, well, where are they getting the money? I can't believe that every citizen is not asking themselves that question. And if they did ask themselves that question, then they would maybe come up with a different answer and say, well, yeah, who's kidding who? But because of the fact that voters are apathetic, it allows politicians to do things like, well, we're going to raise the money, and then the other problem is that they're going to give you something back. Well, you're beholden to them. Right. I mean, I'm beholden to my boss at work. If I don't do the job, he's not going to give me a paycheck. Okay, well, if you're a large corporation, somebody further away from you doesn't know you from Adam. Therefore, they don't really have a concern about whether or not you're getting paid or whether you're even doing the job. Same thing here. I think it starts with voter apathy, and because of voter apathy, we have these other problems. So I would rather see it the other way. I'd like to see voters take an active interest. Now, there's a certain feeling among most people. As a matter of fact, before I got into politics, I felt the same way. Matter of fact, I still feel the same way, that you know, you don't necessarily believe in the system, and you don't necessarily believe that you have any control over it, and they're going to take the resources that you give them and they're going to spend it the way that they want anyway. But that's part of the reason that they do it, is because we allow them to. Remember, all the power ultimately comes back to the people.
Right.
And it's our money that they're using, and it's our money that they're bribing us with in certain respects by saying, this is what I'm going to give you. And they're doing nothing more than giving you back what you've worked very hard for.
Well, let's break away from that subject, Don. Let's talk about a subject that's going to be prevalent in Oakland. As Oakland upgrades the water system, what is the criteria that the council uses to be determining the needs and the cost to the taxpayers? I'm talking about the new water system that will be on the Hovan track side of town or the Long Hill Road side of town?
Well, actually, we're doing a complete restructuring of the water system. Restructuring is probably not the right word. It's really an upgrade to it. We have a fairly old system, and part of what we're already doing is replacing some of the older, smaller pipes that we have within the community. So that's only a portion of it. There is really a master plan that a lot of time and effort has gone into, especially from the Water Committee. Councilwoman Pilser and Councilman Torrey have spent a lot of time working with people on that. But your original question was, what criteria do we use to determine the needs and how the money is spent, or something along that line?
Right, the needs and the costs.
Well, I would think that regardless of the size of the project, whether it's a small project or whether it's a large project like this water project, I think the 2 points we should always be looking at is, one is meeting the needs of the people, okay, servicing their needs, not giving them a Cadillac when they can get by with something else. And as far as the expense of it is, it has to be cost effective.
Yeah.
Again, too often I think what the government often does is we go for the Cadillac. We're spending somebody else's money, so why not get the biggest and the best that there is?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the truth, in many cases, the biggest and the best doesn't always suit your needs. So there's a lot of time that's going in on this, and I have a lot of questions about it that I've brought up about the upgrade to the water system. And I will continue to do that because I believe that I have to represent the people and do what is cost effective for them. Everybody knows what the tax rate is in Oakland. And
Yes.
we have to try to make sure that we control our costs, but at the same time there are facilities and functions and resources that we have to provide to the people of Oakland.
Donald Burns, Oakland Council President, thank you for being our guest tonight on the Oaklander. If our citizens have any thoughts on these matters discussed on the program, please contact us. We are interested in your opinions and your voice. Thanks for being on the show, Don.
My pleasure.
Our first guest tonight has been a resident for 34 years. He was elected as Oakland's first independent council member in 1970, where he served in local politics for 4 years. He now writes a column for the North Jersey Herald and News and for the Journal America. Please welcome Mr. Al Marchese. Welcome to the Oaklander, Al.
Thanks, Al. Pleasure to be here.
Al, would you tell our viewers about your accomplishments in the Taxpayers Association that you had formed in 1968, and did that help you win as an independent councilman?
Oh, certainly. In 1968, I didn't even know who the mayor of the town was. I got a little fed up with taxes. Went to a council meeting, decided to put out a flyer to form a Taxpayers Association. And the classroom in Our Lady of Perpetual Help, which was the only building we could get, was overflowing with people. And within 2 weeks, we had something like 300 or 400 members, more than the Democratic and Republican clubs combined.
Really? Well, we actually had a Democratic club at that time.
Yeah, we did.
I see.
So I became the first president, and we got into everything. We formed committees. We were at planning board meetings, zoning board meetings, council meetings, Shade Tree Commission meetings, Board of Education meetings, Regional Board of Education meetings, along with local. And eventually, I ran for council as an independent, and we put people on the Board of Educations, and we had quite a thing going for 3 years.
What issues stir your political passions at the present time, Al?
Well, taxes. I've always been a conservative. I think the inefficient spending of tax dollars is a primary concern. I think the ecological movement has gone too far into that. It creates job loss with no concern for the welfare of human beings. They put it above that of animals. I don't really believe in that. I believe in sensibly environmentalism that creates work.
Well, I think that's a point well taken. You have a very straightforward approach in your opinions, as you mentioned, ecology and development. How can we find a true balance on these two matters? Because they are very important. We cannot destroy our environment. We have to live here, yet we need growth.
Well, I was a construction electrician for 34 years, a member of the IBW Local 102 Patterson, New Jersey. And I worked on many environmental projects, such as scrubbers for factories that had smokestacks blowing black smoke.
Right.
Electrostatic scrubbers purified the smoke. I worked on water filtration plants. In fact, when I was in management in the now defunct Ford Motor Company assembly plant in Mulwa, even as a councilman, I remember sending a letter to them that they were polluting the Ramapo River, and when I actually got the job, I was in maintenance, and we had to maintain that new filtration plant, so they stopped dumping solvents, 100,000 gallons a week, into the Ramapo River. That's the kind of environmentalism I think that creates and makes work and is good for a community, but not the kind that stops progress, buildings, in the name of saving some so-called endangered species. I really don't believe that that's true. The snail darter case in the Tennessee Tombigbee Dam proved that when they stopped the project for a 3-inch fish that then they found elsewhere in the United States all over.
On a larger level, how do you view the direction of computers and the information age?
Well, I'm not against computers, but I'd say one thing. They are going to cause a lot of job loss, and if they're not handled properly, the economy of the country may very well go down. For instance, the big merger between Chemical and Chase Manhattan Bank is due to computers. Now there's 4,000 to 12,000 people out of work. What do? What are they going to purchase? AT&T is downsizing into several companies. They're going to knock off 8,500 people. Where are they going to get the purchasing power to keep the economy going? It's something that's, well, in a column I wrote for the North Jersey Herald and News, I stressed about the Luddites, which were a group of English people that wrecked sewing machines because they feared automation. But then they needed people to repair the sewing machines, so it became something worthwhile. I don't know if that can be true with the computer because it's such a sophisticated instrument.
And they're replaced.
It's really replacing human beings. Where do they get the funds to make a living?
Well, do you think that this is kind of blended into voter and citizen apathy, where we just see things being replaced quickly and outmoded, and basically human expression is almost overlooked these days?
Well, the thing is that it's a two-family economy, not two-family, I mean a two-person economy and a family. When I first moved into Oakland, I was able to support my wife and my first initial 3 children. My wife went to work when we had our third daughter, our 4th child. And I think people are so exhausted when they come home from work that they're in a state of torpor. They don't have time for anything. For instance, I doubt very much you could have an active taxpayers association today, not only in Oakland but anywhere, because people are so tired when they come home from work. They just want to just relax. And it's a shame, because citizen involvement is where you learn the issues of the day and you become an intelligent voter.
You also learn on how the wheel turns.
You sure do.
The political wheel. What motivates you to write your columns in the Journal America and the North Jersey Herald and News?
Well, I'm a renegade in a sense. I never marched to the crowd. I guess you could say I march to the beat of a different drummer. I like to think for myself. I try to analyze things, and I always did put the welfare of people first. And without people, you have no country, you have no nation, you have no incentive. You got to put people first in their well-being. If you've got happy people and you enact the proper laws that make for happy, well-adjusted people, you have a progressive country and a healthy economy where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as that great and sacred document, the Constitution, states, can be achieved.
Well, obviously, you don't believe that we're ready to throw out the Constitution, then.
No way.
All right?
That's a sacred document.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Divinely inspired, I believe.
And what are, I had heard that you were a very controversial individual, and the conversations that I had, I found you not to be confrontational or anything. How did you get that moniker?
Well, I guess we took the town on in the Oakland Taxpayers Association, which ironically was over an issue of a borough administrator. And we had wonderful people circulating petitions to get 2,000 or so names to put on a ballot whether we should have a borough administrator or not. And the borough attorney at the time declared the petition invalid, so we went to war, in a sense, political war. We went out and circulated another petition, got another attorney's opinion on it, and we got the thing on a ballot, but we had to do it twice. From then on, it was confrontational with the borough. We tried to offer constructive suggestions, which for the most part rejected, and ultimately, being non-political, it became a political organization in a sense that we had to run people for the school boards because we were at loggerheads there, and for the Oakland Council. And at one time, we had control of the council. First election I won, then two other people won, and then we got a fourth one on, and then the economy sank in 1973, and I had to leave. That ended my career.
Well, there's lots of talk of independents coming up in the '96 elections here. How do you think that they may fare? Because there are no independents on our council right now.
You're talking nationally, or?
Well, I was building from the bottom up. We lost the.
Well,
I know Jack Tauber was an independent.
Yeah, he was excellent.
You were an independent.
Yes.
So we.
Jack Frafassi, Ed Vanderbeck, Jack Tweedle, Dr. Tweedle.
Okay.
And they were excellent members of
And they were all on the council at one time.
Yeah, I was on with Jack, and I ran a second time with Jack Frafassi and Ed Vanderbeck, and we won. And we had a tie vote, and then I was elected council president, and that's when the economy went. And then we got a fourth member on. When somebody resigned, we had the controlling vote.
Well, we've had
I don't recall who resigned, though.
Just today, we've had Steve Forbes may decide to throw his presidential hat into the ring as an independent. Colin Powell may run as an independent. Do you think there may be a resurgence in an independent movement?
Oh, the country, in my opinion, is ripe for it. They're so fed up with the political parties and lobbyists, which are the scourge of the political process because they make us virtual serfs. Any congressperson is a liar if they say they don't listen to a lobbyist that's contributing $10,000 as against somebody who just writes a letter to them.
I believe that there is validity in what you say, but also when the average Joe, the average voter, does not contact his representatives, most people don't know their district number or their assembly representatives.
Yeah.
How else would interest be served aside from a lobbyist?
Well, you got to have a political base, or even a non-political base, and the best thing that could happen in this town, again, is on a local level, is a taxpayers association. They're healthy. If you have the right people in public office that'll listen, they can come up with constructive suggestions which aids the town. They become informed, intelligent voters because they attend council meetings. And ultimately, they may prime themselves for running public office as an informed candidate. One of the reasons I believe I ran, and what's wrong with the political process in the country today, is that I had a year's training as a council president. I was at every meeting. I knew the issues. political parties put people up that were novices in the debates. They had no facts. I had the facts. And I think that that's what's needed today, a training process for all candidates, even up to the national level, state level, where you have informed candidates. In fact, I'm writing a column on that in the North Jersey Herald and News on term limit. A term limit for national office where people are sent to Washington for 4 months where they stop campaigning to actually get a crash course in how the government works, so they don't step in as a novice and get broken in by the old guard, the old way things are done, which everybody's fed up with.
Well,
As far as independence, I think Colin Powell poses a real threat to anybody that runs. I don't think Mr. Forbes does, although I agree with his political philosophy of economic growth.
Well, we're going to be listening to everyone for those who are interested. Well, Al Marchese, good luck with your column in the Journal America and the North Jersey Herald and News. And if anyone in our audience would care to comment on any of these subjects, they can contact us, and we will forward them to you, Al. And thank you for being our guest tonight on the Oaklander.
Thank you.
I'm here at the United Presbyterian Church in Patterson with Doris Gale, a church elder. This past summer, 186 youngsters enjoyed Safe Space program, sponsored by the church and dedicated to teaching the children that learning is fun. Good morning, Doris.
Good morning.
Could you tell us a little bit about the program?
Well, yes, I can. The program is based on all children between the ages of 6 and 14. We will take a few 16-year-olds if they're willing to want to be a part of the program and want to be take in what the program has to offer. But first of all, I'd like for you to meet some friends. I have here on my left our interim minister and part of our board, and a parent who has come in to see what we're doing. And I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Sandy Williams, who is our on our board of directors, and he also is very instrumental in doing our funding for the program. And he is a very important part to us. Our interim minister, Reverend Wayne Holcomb, who came to us last June, and he's been spiriting right in on the program ever since. And Mr. Donovan Taylor, who is very important to us because without him, we could not take trips. He is our bus driver, and he is an instrumental part of the Board of Trustees here at the church. Over in the corner, we have a mother, and this is Mrs. Richardson, right? Drakeford. Mrs. Drakeford. She has one of the children that was a part of the program that was in our newspaper print this summer. And over in the far corner over there, we have Miss Charlotte Williams. She was one of our counselors who worked very diligently in the program this past summer. And we had a real ball. The kids enjoyed everything that there was to offer, our trips, our camping, our learning experiences. They put on dances, and they really had a ball. I'm going to let you talk to some of them and let them tell you how they felt about the camp this summer.
What was one of the trips that you really enjoyed the most?
Going to Skaters World and Wayne.
And Skaters World? And you all went skating?
Yes.
And I hear that you went to some museums?
Yeah.
And things like that, the Liberty Science Museum?
Mm-hmm.
Did you really enjoy that?
Yeah.
My name is Dominic Draper. I live in Patterson, New Jersey.
All these children seem camera shy now, but believe you me, this summer they were not camera shy. You could hear them from one end of the building to the next, and they were very, very happy.
My name is Charlotte Williams, and I have been with United Presbyterian Space Camp for the past 4 years. When we first got started, it was very exciting. We had an overwhelming group of children. Over the 3 years, I have seen such joy and such happiness come to life. For me, it was a dream, and now to see my dream as a reality, I'm just excited because each year I look forward of coming here. And I know with the help of Sandy and the strength of Miss Gail, she can continue to keep my dream alive. Again, I don't understand why the children are not speaking. Like Miss Gail said, they're a little shy, but I'm sure that they really enjoyed themselves from all the trips and all the things that we did together. They just might be overwhelmed and stressed out from the summer. Again, it's been a pleasure working for United Presbyterian in the past 4 years.
I want to thank you all for coming down here today. And when we put this in our Thanksgiving show, I'm going to make sure that Mrs. Gale gets a copy of this, and you'll all be able to see yourself. You know, and keep on doing good work inside your neighborhoods, inside your town, and inside your state, and we'll all work to be better people, right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Maybe our mother would like to say something.
Thank you so much.
I had to work the camera, so whatever I had to say, I guess I have to hold.
Well, hi everybody. This is Richie DiGiacomo from Houston, Texas, and standing in front of the latest addition to my car collection is a '64 Thunderbird, and we've owned it for about 6 months now, and she's been driving real well for us. So we're going to keep her. As you can see, she's a Wimbledon white, and the interior is a turquoise interior. She's got a 394 barrel. She's a real nice car. We bought it from the second owner, which had it for approximately 10 or 12 years. Did the majority of the restorations. We've been doing some of the little tidiness and getting the engine running properly, and she's a real nice car. She's a rust-free car. She's been in Houston its whole life. It's going to stay here, hopefully, and it's a good addition to our collection here. Let me see. She's one of 60,000 that were made back in 1964, and they just don't make them like this anymore. With all the stainless chrome and all the sheet metal and all the support that this car needs, she's fully loaded, power steering, power brakes, power windows, AC, power seats, and about everything that you can get with the Thunderbird at that time. There's been a few things we're adding. We're adding some back rear seat belts for our son and our child-to-be, which is due in November. So we went and had some custom original seat belts remanufactured for us to match the interior. But a few other odds and ends we've got going here. She's going to stay with us for a while here. She's a real nice car. Hi again, everybody, and here we are under the hood of the '64 T-Bird. There's a nice close-up here of our 394 barrel. It's had a lot of little custom chrome put into here. Everything, AC, radiator, everything's been tweaked out here and tuned up. Under the hood here, she's a real strong running engine. So now let's take a look at the interior. Hi everybody, here we are in the interior of the '64 Thunderbird. It's an aqua interior. with a white headliner. The 64 model had the slide-away steering column, which is a very nice, sort of like the tilt wheel of the age. It has a lot of nice and unique, innovative options in here as far as the Mercury style speedometer, where as fast you go, the Mercury redness fills up each eighth mile here, 10, 20, 30, and so on. It has a center console, which large bucket seats, wrap-around rear interior, power windows, power seats, air conditioning, power steering, power brakes, power door locks. So there's really every option basically, besides a CD player, just has a AM/FM cassette, and center console, glove box, and it's all in the original state that it's been. It's been an adult owner, non-smoker, and new carpet has been replaced. Everything else has just been really nicely taken care of. You want me to slide the steering wheel?
I hope you've enjoyed the November edition of the Oaklander. The producers of this program hope you will watch again and tell all of your friends. With the holiday season just weeks ahead, families will gather, friends will take time to visit, as we make a conscious effort to give thanks. We gain and share experiences from one another, so I give my sincere thanks to the staff of OK TV Productions. They are James Miller, William Galarza, Peter Coletta, Chris Breetveld, and Greg Schuss. For without their commitment, their talents, their integrity, not to mention their sense of humor and care for community, this show would not be possible. And for these efforts, I thank you all. And now for these kind words from Chris and Greg.
Hi, I've got Chris on the phone, and we're working on the next Oaklander production. You cannot, listen, I told you, no, that's not gonna work. You have no idea. Listen to me. Oh, hold on, I got another call. Oaklander TV? Well, hi, sure. Tuesday afternoon? Let me check my schedule. Tuesday looks good. Around 4:30? Sure, we'll show up with 2 cameras. We have a crew of about 4 or 5 people, and we'll tape the whole thing. Yeah, no problem. Good. All right, we'll see you Tuesday. Bye. Chris, yeah, somebody wanted us to come down and tape something. Listen, you got to get your act together. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking to you. What do you mean? Listen to me. There's no way that's going to work. I'm sorry. Forget it. No, I don't even want to talk about it. Listen, I have to go. Bye.
As you can see, our team is working in perfect harmony. Now, it's been a while since I've thanked TCI and our studio supervisor, Ellen Adler, for her help on the technical aspects of TV production. and our appreciation to all of the guests who have given our viewers a different look on subjects concerning Oakland in these past 11 shows. Thanks to Doris Gale, Al Marchese, Donald Burns for being on the show tonight. And finally, to those of you who watch this program, thanks for tuning in. Let's all give thanks. Let's learn more, let's love more, and let's live more. For the Oaklander, I'm your host, Al DiGiacomo, and we'll see you next time. Al, I'll bring home the cranberry sauce.